I Got Herded by Dogman. Dear Scary Stories NYC, I want to tell you that I've been lurking on your channel for some time now, and I hope you keep doing what you're doing. You shouldn't be surprised if your channel gets suppressed, because some of your stories veer quite closely to truths that some in powerful circles would prefer remain hidden. I, on the other hand, feel that your show is a good place for me to dump some real information. As long as you call it a scary story and present it for entertainment purposes only, then it doesn't matter how truthful I get. And the secrets I would like to share with you, and whatever audience the powers that be allow you to still have, are secrets about the North American werewolf, or upright walking dogman. It's my job to go in and clean up when Dogman leaves another big mess. Not just me, obviously I'm part of a team of professionals. In one sense, this should bring you cheer, that there is an organization out there which is silently, behind the scenes, managing the surging set of issues surrounding the existence of this species. In another sense, the news should be sobering, though, because our primary goal in our job is not to provide safety to the public, but rather to eliminate or relocate the dogman or dogmen causing issues. We're also commanded to eliminate any discussion of the more vital aspects of our various missions. Now, I understand the reasoning behind the first part, but the other parts seem to only exist to allow members of our organization to cover up more than just the existence of Dogman. I'm going to have to leave that part right there. You're going to have to use your own imagination and research capabilities to fill in the rest of that for yourself. I'm going to narrowly focus on myself and on the Dogman for the rest of this. So way back before I lived this life, I used to do this thing where I would go camping in a minimalist way off the beaten path where no other humans would go. One night I slept up in a tree, but usually I would sleep in my sleeping bag alone in an obscure place that I hoped nobody else would stumble upon. The thing is, much of nature spends its time looking for just such a place to hide away, to get some sleep, so I do sometimes have my sleep interrupted by all manner of unexpected creatures. So I would crash for the shortest amount of time possible, then I'd get back to hiking off trail through America. I believe I've walked places that it's possible no other human has ever trodden. I believe I've seen things that nobody else alive has had the opportunity to see. That didn't mean I wasn't in danger out there, same as anyone else. If you're alone, either in nature or in society, you have a target on your back. Case in point, one overcast day I was walking through a growing fog in the neighborhood of Pittsville, Venango County in Pennsylvania. The fog was getting so dense that I really was no longer sure where I was going. I watched my feet to keep from tripping and also to keep on the path and out of the woods. Each time I looked up and around myself, I saw less detail than I had the time before, as the fog was growing thicker and thicker. I thought I heard the sound of someone walking behind me, and I turned to see eye shine emerging clearly from the fog. What light it was reflecting I'm unsure, but there was eye shine clearly lurking behind me at a height over that of my own eye level. Was it a cat on a tree branch, or an owl possibly? It was too tall to be a deer. I've rarely felt as unnerved by anything in the woods as I was by my silent pursuer with the glowing eyes. I just kept going the way I was going, concentrating on staying on the path, and eventually I noticed that I had attracted a second individual walking behind me. Neither of them were human. They couldn't be. Neither of them were on a branch in a tree either, as they were keeping an equal distance from me as I walked away from them. They were mobile, and their eyes were well over 6 feet off the ground, well over my head. I couldn't think of too many things that tall with glowing eyes that would silently pursue you the way these two were. Or could there have been even more than the two? In that fog, anything was starting to seem possible. I didn't see as I had much choice other than to continue what I was doing. If I tried to run away, I might lose the path and find myself completely lost in the woods. If I turned to face my stalkers, I didn't know what I would be facing. I knew those two were taller than me, and I knew they were not human. That was all I knew about them. Yes, I was armed, but I didn't think that would be useful in the context of those two. Maybe if they wanted to drag race, we could use it at the starting line, but other than that, it might as well have been a pea shooter against two beings that large. So I was herded into a place surrounded by tall stones. The way it echoed in there, I wonder if we were in a cave with a tall ceiling. On the ground there was fog up over my ankles, and the fog also seemed to block out everything above 10 feet or so off the ground above my head. I've never been in a place like that, but I was not alone. There were other people there, but they all withdrew when I approached them. I would try to speak, and they would walk away and stare nervously at the dog-headed men at the entrance of this enclosure. We were kept like we were a pack of wild dogs. We'd eat scraps of meat the canine men tossed onto the floor for us. Sometimes fights would break out over nasty little pieces of some former animal that I doubt these same people would have ever wanted to eat before they became captured. I was amazed how none of them wanted to form an alliance with me or with each other. There were more of us than there were of our herders and handlers, and I was certain we could escape if we banded together. Nobody would even discuss this with me, though, and I suppose I'm lucky they didn't rat me out to the Dogman. I was there sometime longer than 2 days, but probably not more than a week. My mind was getting more dulled each day, but we were rescued on that night, and I was saved from becoming like the others. It all started this way. The Dogman brought another prisoner to join us, but as they were about to toss him into the main area, he pulled out a small weapon and was able to surprise one of the creatures from a close range. I was right that the worst a small hand weapon could do was to stun one of these beasts for a moment, but apparently that was all that had been intended. That, and for the sound of the shot to signal others who had been stationed in the area for some time I can only guess at. An entire team of men invaded our space, destroying our captors with high-powered repeat weaponry and funneling us single file out of there to safety. I remained with our rescuers, keeping the remaining werewolf men at bay until everyone escaped. Afterward, they made us all wait in a room to be debriefed before we would find out if we were to receive medical treatment or be freed or whatever. The only one who would even talk to me in the waiting room area was the double agent, who explained to me in brief, simple terms how messed up the others' minds were after being held by the Dogman for so long. Some of them had been held captive for over a year. I asked why the Dogman did that, and the agent shrugged. It might just be a natural herding instinct, he guessed, or maybe it's a hedge against famine to keep some livestock breeding in the back somewhere. His ideas were so cold and expressed in such a cold manner that they made me shiver, and he laughed at me. I guess he was used to thinking of himself as livestock, but I was not. I remember asking if I would have eventually ended up being food, and he just said something like, "We're all food for the worms in the end." He thought about it for a while, and said he did know of one pack that did eat an old man one time, so it was not out of the question that the Dogman might occasionally thin out our herd. But if I was being farmed for food, nobody on his level had been told about it. He either didn't know why the Dogman corralled and herded these people and myself, or else he wasn't allowed to share the information with me. When it came my time to be called in, I was told that everyone else was being instructed to keep silent about what happened, and being asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement. For me, they had all that kind of stuff too, but on top of that, they had an offer for me to go work for them, to become like that guy I had the conversation with a few minutes prior. to get to see just a little bit more of how the world really works than the average person gets to know. For most people, I was told joining this organization meant giving up important parts of their lives. They were going to have to hide things, even from their wives and husbands and children. For me, a natural-born loner, joining with them would mean adding to my life, since they would become something like the family that I have never gotten to have. Well, there are reasons I've been a loner up till now. I don't like to have to follow someone else's sense of morality and right and wrong. Anytime you join a team, you need to remember there is no I in team. But me, I'm on my own trip, and it is not corporate in nature. My trip is quite singular. Yes, I helped to save the Dogman's other prisoners, and I teamed up with the organization to do so. But now that I've become one of them, I find myself wanting to go back to being just a private citizen, hiking around the woods. They tell me I can't quit, that I've been at it too long. They tell me that if the Dogman smell you more than 3 or 4 times, their entire species gets a generational knowledge of you as danger. They will literally smell you and either run away or go berserker, track you down, and take you out. I've been at it long enough that my mere existence supposedly triggers the Dogman into a frenzy. They tell me that if I try to go solo, the werewolves would take me out within a month maximum. They tell me I need my teammates, and they need me. I am told that this will have to be my life for as long as I can stand, and as long as I can walk. My life has never been the same again since I got herded by the Dogman. Among the greats of crypto, there's Jacques Vallée and Keel, but among our private pantheon, there's Brian Navratil. Please join us in welcoming back once and future channel member Brian Navratil, who has made this episode possible. In return, Brian gets cool perks, like our weekly secret uncensored Dogman stories that usually come out on Sundays. This week's secret story is called I Killed a Dogman, and apparently I'm not even allowed to say the name of the story on this channel. Here to fill in the deets on how you can become involved is international TV spokesmongrel Henry Lee Dogman. Hank. Thanks, Biggie, and thanks to all of you for watching this far. If you liked it, please click like. If you'd like to see more of our work, please subscribe. And also click that bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we put out a new episode. To become an executive producer, you can donate to us through the thanks button under each of our videos, or through our paypal.me/PeterBernard209 page. To receive cool perks like secret uncensored Dogman episodes far too wild to ever run on this channel, you can become a YouTube channel member by clicking the join button, or join our PayPal subscribers club at peterbernard.com. Joining either at the $3 a month level or above gets you access to our over 25 hours of secret uncensored Dogman stories available nowhere else. Do you have a scary story about Dogman or some other kind of high strangeness that happened to you? Let us know by emailing us at scarystoriesnyc@gmail.com or by leaving us a voicemail message at 804-LA-SCARY. You may need to call back on that one. It cuts off after, I think, 3 minutes. And if you don't want to do any of that stuff, thank you for simply watching to the end. Good night, and have a scary tomorrow.
Come back for more scary stories.